Okay, here we are with our tray imported from Blender into Unity. Now, there are a few of these properties that I want to change here. One of the things is that we want to get the ball to collide with the mesh, which means we need to generate a special collider called a mesh collider, which tracks the shape of our mesh exactly. So I'm going to tick Generate Colliders. A couple of other things. We've got our own camera, so Blender has a camera as well, but we don't want the Blender camera, so I'm going to take that out. I'm also going to light our own scene using Unity, so I don't want to import the lights. And lastly, the materials. We haven't applied any materials in Blender. We could have done, but we're going to do that through Unity, so I'm going to uncheck that. So I've changed the settings, got to generate colliders. I don't want the cameras, I don't want the lights, I don't want the materials. So I'm going to apply those changes. There we are, they're applied. Okay, so the next thing is to put our tray onto the scene. Right, so have a look at the properties of that. Now I'm going to put it onto 0, 0, 0. Why not? Now, one of the things you might have noticed when we looked at Blender and Unity is that in Blender the upwards axis is Z. Right, in Unity it's Y. Right, so it's unfortunate they've chosen a different set of axes, but not to worry, because Blender has automatically applied a rotation of -90 around the x-axis. Looks like -90.00001, and I'm just going to change that to -90. Okay, so that accommodates the problem of the different axes there. Notice it's imported the scale from Blender as well. Okay, so there's our there's our tray. Now you probably find that one of the problems is, I'm just going to reset this because I've had to look at it, is if you look at the main camera preview, we can't really see it. That's because the camera is in the wrong position. So if we just scroll out, we can see where the camera is. To move the view in 3D, by the way, hold the Alt key and yet use the left mouse button to rotate around the selected item. So our camera is actually in there. So if I bring it out, you can see the view changing in the camera perspective. And there we can see the viewport of the camera. So essentially the first thing you have to do is get the camera to the right position so you can see it. Now this is largely a matter of experience. We need to rotate it as well. Okay, not quite right. I have discovered that to view this particular scene, the best position is on the x-axis. I've got -15. On the y-axis I've got 15. On the z-axis I've got -15. And then rotating on the X I've got 45. On the Y I've got 40. And on the Z I've got 0. And for me that's a good view of the tray. Okay, you can always test it to see what it looks like by maximizing on play and then checking it out. There we are, that looks okay to me. Now, materials. We didn't apply any particular color or texture to this box in Blender. We could have done, but I thought we'd just see how it's done in Unity. So if we just create a new folder within the assets folder, so select assets, create, folder, and we'll call this one Materials. Right, here we go. I'm going to open that folder and create a new material. We've got material. So this is not the physics material we used last time, it's just a new material. Right, so we can apply all sorts of effects to our surfaces. In this case, I'm going to make it sort of wooden looking by choosing the colour of, say, brown of some sort. So take this up into the orange area. Not too dark. That looks about right. Okay, so I can close that. And we get a view of what the thing looks like here. I'm going to change this source. I don't want it to be at all metallic. I'm just going to use the alpha albedo alpha there, which takes off the shine. Albedo is just the main color. We have options for these things here: the normal map, the height map, occlusion, and detail mask. This is used a lot if you're doing highly textured surfaces. We're not going to do that here. Okay. And I think that will do for our color. So I'm going to name that as light brown, just to give us an idea. And if we get the tray, in our mesh renderer up here, no, not in there, sorry, down here we've got the default material, which is just ordinary sort of white, and all I need to do is drag that underneath here, so you've got that symbol there, not the cross, and drop it, and it changes the material to light brown. Okay. Now the other thing with Unity is in 3D is that we need to light our subject. So we've got one directional light which has been put in automatically. Now it doesn't really matter where this light is placed, it's just the direction. So moving it up or down doesn't make any difference, it's just a directional light. Okay. If you want to add any further lighting, so I think we've got rather deep shadows here, perhaps we should have another light going from the other direction. It's on the top here. There's our camera. The camera's there. The directional light's there. So perhaps we need to rotate that directional light around the y-axis. Towards the board, and you can see how things change as we do that. Okay, and then perhaps we'll have another light over here. So again, I can create another light, another directional light. Okay. That looks okay, so fairly even lighting on the board, which is good. Now, to play this game, we also need a ball. Right, so I could make a ball in Blender, but Unity comes with quite a few useful shapes. So if we go to Create in the hierarchy, 3D object, we've got a sphere. There it is. Right. Shall we make this sphere a sort of metallic colour? You can make it transparent if you like, but let's create a new material. Right, so this time I'm going to have it metallic, much smoother. I think I'll have a sort of goldy colour for this. It's a bit darker than that. Or I wonder if I should have a different colour altogether to contrast with the So make it blue. Okay, that's not bad. Make it a bit more metallic. Okay, so I'm going to have metallic blue. And then in the sphere here, I can just apply that metallic blue to it. Okay, I quite like the contrast there. Right, now this sphere should in fact fit in those trays, but we'll check it by zooming in here. Move it over there. Bring it down onto the tray. Okay, that's not too bad. So it does fit into the trays, but I'm just going to give it a bit of room and reduce the scale to 0.8. So that gives us a bit of leeway. Now it fits in quite nicely. Okay. Next time we'll get some action going. I'm just going to lift that out of the tray again.